And a very good morning to everybody out there on our beautiful Facebook and YouTube feed as we get ready to join up with the Drivetime Radio Network and get on the radio as well as on social media. It is Drivetime Radio. I am your host, New York Vinnie. We get together here every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. As I always like to say, if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, in some weeks that's more true than others. But been a heck of a week, man. Especially if you're in Hawaii, it's been devastating. Just one of those weeks where you just look around and go, "Geez, what the heck happened?" But we'll try to light the load for you a little bit in this next hour or so. Keep your mind off of things, politics, and things burning, and so on and so forth. We're going to mention the Hawaii fires, obviously. It's that area of the islands is dear to me. My sister has a condo there, and it's the only part of I've been to the Big Island too, but I mean it's special to me. That was my first place that I went to in Hawaii, and just such a beautiful area. And a beautiful place, beautiful people. I mean, just, it's paradise. And when you wake up and paradise is turned into hell, an inferno, sometimes that just doesn't seem fair. But as we always point out, not all is fair in life. And so anything you can do to help those people, whether it be donations or I don't know what else really you can do except send money. They're going to need a lot of money. So sending money down there, I think, would be the thing that would be most appreciated at this point. Matter of fact, they've already said, please don't send any more old clothes. They're filled. They have more than they can handle. So we will talk about that, but we have a good show for you. We're going to take a look at a couple of different cars, and we have some interesting information on some local issues here in Seattle, and so we should have a very interesting show for you. You should know more at the end of this show than you do at when we get started here. Let's bring our good friend Nathan in.
Good morning, Vinnie on Facebook.
Hello, Nathan. Everybody on Facebook is waving at you.
Hey, everybody. I'm waving back at you.
There you go. How are you, pal?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm here. We're going to do a radio show. I think we're I think we're set. I think I have got the visual bug out so that we can show some video this morning. I think that would be pretty cool if that works. And you have obviously the email with the CarTune. We're going to have one of my favorite actors in this morning as our CarTune personality singing us a song. So I think it should be a pretty fair morning, Nathan. What about you?
Just getting that loaded in now, and we'll be starting in about 30 seconds.
Wow. Nathan, 30 seconds. How in the world?
Yes, sir.
But we're supposed to have an hour here or something before we...
Our 30-second radio show. Thanks for tuning in, folks.
Yes, 30 seconds. Hi, everybody. How you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's going to be hot this week. Look out. Get your air conditioner tuned up, and it's been fun. Have a good one. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next week if the Lord's will and the creek don't rise.
And that's Drive Time Radio.
That's it. That was about 30 right there, right?
Yep. And let's go ahead and give you the extended play version.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host, guest, and callers and are not necessarily those of KKNW, its management, or other advertisers. This program is sponsored by Golden V Media.
Drive Time Radio with New York Vinnie.
And a very good Saturday morning to you. It's Drivetime Radio. I am New York Vinnie, your congenial host. Nathan, the producer, is along for the ride as well and making things work back at the broadcast center of KKNW. We are a show that comes to you every Saturday morning at just a smidge past 8 o'clock, and we talk about cars, the automotive lifestyle. So many things that are involved. I mean, let's face it, whether you even own a car or not, you're still involved in the automotive lifestyle. To what extent you get to choose. But, between just those that just drive and use their car as appliance to those who are fully involved in car clubs and so many different events that go on around cars, especially this time of year where you can't go out of the house without running into some kind of car show somewhere, right? So that's what we keep an eye on. We talk to you about it. We try to get conversation going about things that concern the motoring public. We cover a lot about electric cars, as you know if you listen to the show. We also talk about issues that are coming up for motorists, and we'll delve into one of those a little bit later this morning. But here we are on what is a beautiful morning up here at the Esperance Broadcast Studios, Esperance Media Broadcast Studios that we have been broadcasting to you out of for the last few years. But from what I hear, it's not going to stay this way. It's going to get ugly hot in the 90s, and for Seattle, that's ugly hot. So again, I'll always remind you, because it's the kind of pain in the butt I am. Make sure that you have enough coolant in your car. Make sure that your tires are on pressure. You don't want to be that person who's stuck on the side of the road with the hood up because their car overheated in 95-degree weather. And it's many times preventable. Just take a look at the hoses and the belts in your car if you can see them. More and more cars these days have shrouds over everything, so only the mechanics see it, but you can still peek under there and take a look at your belts and your hoses and just the things that water and cooling elements pass through to make sure that you are, covered in those areas, that you have enough water. You'd be surprised. I mean, I used to, when I worked at a gas station, it was a full-service gas station. You used to open up the radiator cap. How many people would come in and there'd be no water in their radiator? Or no antifreeze in their radiator, and how much that would, how many times you'd look and say, wow, how you even running this car? Cars today are more demanding on those elements, so you got to take care of it. You got to check the air in your tires. Of course, my thing is, how I feel. If you've been listening to the show for any amount of time, it should be free to put air in your tires. No gas station, no tire shop, no anybody should be able to charge you for putting air in your tires. It's a basic driving right, if you will. And it's going to kind of load into one of the things that we are going to talk about a little bit this morning. First, if you're out on the roads this weekend, check your Washington State Department of Transportation website or their app to see what's closed and what's not closed. There is a ton of roads in and around Seattle, in and around the state, that are closed or reduced volume of traffic is allowed on that particular road. And with the action this weekend down at the ballpark, the Mariners on a hot streak as they are, and the King Felix Hall of Fame stuff that's going on, the joint's going to be jumping. And you are going to want to take public transportation to get to the ballpark if you can, except that public transportation is screwed too, because they're having trouble with the track bed. It's sinking. So I don't know how you're going to get anywhere, to be honest with you. But have patience. I think that's probably the greatest virtue you can have this week is have patience with people, have patience with the people in your car, enjoy the ride there, park in another part of town and walk down to the stadium, park in Lower Queen Anne and take the bus along First Avenue there or something like that, that can, get you to the ballpark and back in a reasonable amount of time, and you don't have to go down into the stadium area. But again, I'm telling you, it is going to be a mess out there this week. Yes. All right. A couple of things are happening that I wanted to let you know about. There is going to be something that's going on. See if I can pull it up here real quick. The Electrify Expo is coming to Marymore Park. I'm now trying to see what day it's coming to Marymore Park. I had it up here a second ago, and it's September 9th and 10th. Marymore Park will be the site of the Electrify Expo, where a number of different manufacturers and people that are concerned with electric cars are going to get together and show off their stuff. From what I understand, you're going to be able to drive electric cars there. You're going to be able to sit in them, get a closer look. I don't know if we're going to be out there yet or not. We're trying to negotiate something to do that right now. But if you are at all interested in electric cars, trucks, e-motorcycles, e-bikes, e-scooters, e-skateboards, anything to do with battery-powered motivation, this is where you might want to be the week after Labor Day, September 9th and 10th, over at Marymore Park. So if you go online to electrifyexpo.com, you can find more information. And as I said, they're not sponsoring us or anything, but we might be out there in one shape, form, or another to try to walk you through some of the electric questions that you may have. And listen, I am always, if you are interested in buying any car and you want some guidance, you want some help, you want some, advice, so on and so forth, you want somebody to just go and buy it for you. You don't want to deal with the dealer. I am always available to do that. You can always get a hold of me at Vinnie at drivetime-radio.com. That's Vinnie, Vinnie, at drivetime-radio.com. And I will do anything from tell you my experience in a particular car to right up to hold your hand at the showroom, if that's what you need, and keep you insulated from the big bad auto repair, not auto repairmen, but auto salespeople that can sometimes be intimidating. Let's face it. It's nothing to be ashamed of either. It's not always easy to go in and buy a car. Manufacturers are trying to do what they can to make it easier for you, but it's a hard process. It is a tough thing. All right, so that is going on with the closing of various highways around town and around the state. If you have people in town and you're saying to yourself, I'm going to take you out Route 20 out to Winthrop to show you the Twisp Bakery and all of those great places that are out there, and that whole great little town of Winthrop and Twisp and up by Chelan up there, check before you go. It appears that Highway 20 is closed because of wildfires that are going on up there. So you want to make sure before you go that you'll be okay going, that you'll be able to get through. The worst thing in the world is to drive up, to Highway 20 and get up to New Halem or something like that, or by some of the beautiful lakes and dams they have up there, and then you have to turn around and come back the same way. Not a bad drive, don't get me wrong, but certainly it puts a crimp in your day. So check before you go. Know before you go. That's Vinnie's advice to you for driving around the state this week. Washington State Department of Transportation has great website and app and maps and everything they do to keep an eye on the traffic situations in the state, and they are a lot of help to you. Speaking about the Washington State Department of Transportation, you are probably as frustrated as I am when it comes to the state of our rest areas on our state highways. We just have some of the crappiest rest areas of any state. There's either the facilities are crowded, there's a gazillion homeless people living in there, people that live in their cars that are pulled in there. The bathrooms they're not horribly dirty, but they're not a place that you would want to spend a few minutes in because they're overused. And so the state is looking for feedback on a new rest area strategy. They want to improve the rest areas throughout our state. 87% of the rest areas in the state of Washington are considered in critical condition. And they're old. Most of them were built between 67 and 74. So the state has finally gotten around to say, let's do something about these rest areas. It now comes up to what do we do? What do we do to make these places that are supposed to be comfort stops for people into something better than just a place to get out of the car, pee, and go? It's when you go to other states, you look at some of these things. Now, there's two things that immediately hit my mind, and that is charging stations for electric cars and air. You're able to check the air in your tires, make sure that your air is okay. It just seems sensible that you would have at least those two things in a rest area. I grew up with the rest areas back east on highways where, you could pull in and get a cup of coffee and a snack, and it was like a convenience store, buy gasoline, and continue on your merry way. Now, I don't think we're going to have anything like that in our on our rest areas, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a good bank of better vending machines that have a variety of foods and free coffee on the holiday weekends. Remember that? You could always get free coffee at a rest area. Try it now. I saw one. I was driving back from Leavenworth on Route 2 on Monday, and Monday morning they had people giving out free coffee in that rest area that's between Leavenworth and Stevens Pass. It just seemed to me like it should have been, it should be like that at all of them. I don't know if they have to fund that or they get volunteers or how that works, but I think it'd be a nice idea. So there are several things. If you go to the Washington State Department of Transportation website, there'll be a page there where they will be asking your input on improving rest areas in the state. As a matter of fact, I will put a link up on our Facebook page to the page. They want to try to straighten the situation out. And I think that it's a noble effort on the state. The last day for comment is Wednesday, August 30th. There are 47 state-owned safety rest areas. And listen, the state wants to do something, so we should help them along. These rest areas should be comfort havens for motorists for short stops, not camping areas. I mean, I don't mind if somebody in a camper, pulls over their tire and they catch 40 winks in their camper. But you go to some of these rest areas. I mean, I went down a Federal Way right next to Wild Waves. Try getting in there to go to the bathroom on a Friday or Saturday night. You can't get in. Every space is taken by somebody that's sleeping in their car. I have utmost sympathy for people that are sleeping in their car. Give them a special section or something. I don't know, but leave spaces open there so that people who are driving from one city to another, from one place to another, can pull over, get out of the car, stretch their legs, grab a snack, go to the bathroom, and get back in their car. It's a simple, fundamental thing that will, I think, result in a safer roadway for everybody. So that's something I think that we need to keep an eye on and need to pay attention to. Speaking about keeping an eye on and paying attention to people, I always got to do this with Nathan. I always have to keep an eye on him and pay attention to him. Otherwise, he runs away crazy. But Nathan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Vinnie. Doing excellent.
I'm glad that you're doing excellent. Are you just overwhelmed and enjoyed in the enjoyment about the Mariners?
With the Mariners, oh yes, definitely. I was thinking more being overwhelmed with a little thing that happened with my car earlier this week. But yeah, the Mariners, they're on a roll, aren't they? Like 8 in a row?
Yes. You'll have to clue me in here in a second on the car. But yes, it's 8 in a row, and they're coming from behind, and they're beating good teams. And all of a sudden, the Mariners look like they're something.
They are. I mean, they're scoring lots of runs against teams that also score lots of runs, and those teams are not scoring many runs.
Well, it's an interesting thing, Nathan, and I found this out since the early days of baseball when I used to watch it and play it. There hasn't been I wouldn't say it never, but if you score more runs than the other team, you win the game.
Yeah. I mean, isn't there a time when a White Sox pitcher threw a no-hitter and lost the game?
Yeah.
So technically, nobody really scored a run or got a hit, but somebody still won.
Well, somebody walked. I think it was a walk and
some errors or something.
An error, walk and an error, and somebody that was a 1-0. Still had a no hitter, but it was a 1-0 loss to that team and that pitcher. So that's the beauty of baseball, though. Weird stuff like that can happen.
It does,
and that's why that's why they tell you, when you go to the ballpark, you never know. There's always a chance that you'll see something that you've never ever seen before.
And of course, in like the World Series, playing a series of games, one team could win like 13-0 in the first game, and then the next few games, the other team wins like 1-0 in them. So one team scores more runs throughout the entire series, but still loses the series.
Yes. So boom. So you're so that's part of the allure of the game of baseball. Now, all right, what happened with your car?
Oh, just a weird thing where I turned it on and it started freaking out or having a panic attack, and all the warning lights went off and the engine shut off, and it told me to pull over and stop the car immediately. And I was like, that was weird. Well, I'll just try turning it on again, and it, just in case it was a weird glitch, and it turned on just fine, and check engine light was still on, but it seemed good enough to make a short trip somewhere, and then coming back, check engine light was off. So it's like the car had a little panic attack earlier this week.
Modern electronics, right? It's like baseball. You never know what you're going to see.
One thing goes wrong and everything else goes wrong.
Yeah, it's pretty, these, obviously these cars that are newer and have all of this computer equipment, so on and so forth, in them, and are run virtually their computers on wheels.
Hmm.
I often wonder, sometimes I can't get my computer to start, or for some reason it just goes boop, and the screen comes up, and you unplug it, you plug it back in, turn it off, turn it back on again. It starts up and it's okay. But in my mind, it's always like, well, what the heck happened? Why did it do that? Will it do
Yeah.
that again to me when I'm, driving down, Highway 395 in Nevada or something like that? It's a little bit of a scary proposition. You're going to go in and get it checked out.
No, everything went away. All the warning guidance went out. So the car says nothing's wrong. So I it has a little thing where it pops up if there's something wrong. It'll say take it in, and this is probably what's going on. But all that went away.
And you believe the car, huh?
Yeah, it's running just fine.
I don't know, Nathan. I'm just, I'll be thinking good thoughts for you, but that's scary when that happens, man. You just, you
Yeah,
have the
it was
business
really
of,
strange what
yeah,
happened,
just
but
get stuck on the side of the road and your tow truck, all the stuff you have to deal with when something like that happens. It's kind of
it is telling me weird things like my tire pressure monitoring system was having a malfunction and all weird, unrelated stuff.
Are you a
So,
AAA member?
no, I don't believe so.
Oh, Nathan, you got to get into AAA, man. Uh, it's money well spent for because at the very least you get a tow truck even if it's 4 o'clock in the morning,
Hmm.
and you don't even pay for the tow. They cover the tow a certain conditions apply. But I have found a AAA membership to be one of the most valuable things you can have driving a car, no matter how old you are, no matter what. You get a flat tire, they come out and change it for you if that's what you need. If you're too lazy to change it yourself, too hungover, too whatever, they'll come out and put the thing on, deliver a battery to your car. It's whatever you pay. I think it's 40-50 bucks a year for um for a membership. It's worth it. They cover you
Hmm.
everywhere. It's I don't. I'm not a big fan of throwing money away needlessly, but AAA is about the best money you'll spend. Plus, if you rent the car, chances are you'll get the money back in discounts from different hotels and stuff like that. They have a scad of discounts. So join AAA when you get a
Cool.
chance. You happen to have a question you want to ask me this morning,
Oh, yeah,
Nathan?
what was it? I'm trying. Oh, yeah. Yo, Vinny, what are you driving this week?
Oh, Nathan, I thought you'd never ask. Oh, Nathan. I am driving. Let's put this in there. I am driving the beautiful Genesis GV70. Oh, is this a beautiful car? Nathan, look at this car. I mean, I park it down there and people stop and they look at it down by the Edmonds waterfront. The lines on this car are spectacular. It's an SUV that has, that sloped roof, that coupe look to it. And it is just a car that is so pleasing from the outside as you take a look at it. It's true. It has a stately, luxury kind of look to it, which I enjoy. I think the car is very well put together, very well built, and very pleasing to the eye, which is one of the things you want when you buy a car like this. When you're going to spend north to $70,000, $80,000 for an electric car, this is what you want. It is really an elegant vehicle, a little different from the internal combustion engine version of the vehicle. Front bumpers and rear bumpers are a bit different, and the car just from its curves to its roof line is just a sharp looking car. But looks are one thing. How does it perform? I would say that this car, and it's all electric, The interior in this car is, everything is put together, quality fit and finish. Everything is right in front of you. The screens, the ambient lighting, and everything. It sweats luxury. It makes you feel, actually, to be honest with you, like you're riding in a car more. It costs more than it really does. There's a lot of cool stuff in this car too. As I like to, this boost button. You hit this button, and it goes from 450 to 490 horsepower. Boom! It's like an extra button on there to push on this thing, and the car just takes off. You hit this other button in the back, and it opens the deck, the hatch. The ambient lighting in this car is spectacular. You can change the shades and everything of the lighting, put whatever color you want in there. And the screen, the control center is all very simple, very self-explanatory. You plug this thing in, you get about 220, 230 miles of range. It's a little bit light in that class as far as range, but it has the quick charge stuff. So if you take it to a quick charger, boom, you plug it in and you get more range fairly quickly. And Apple CarPlay and Android Auto don't work without plugging them in. They don't work by Bluetooth. So that's another little drawback to this ride. But all in all, I'm enjoying driving this car this week. I can't wait to get it out on the open road this weekend and check it out and have some fun with it. Because this Genesis GV70 is really not only is it a work of art, but it's so well put together in the initial drive that you just feel like you're on top of the world when you're driving this thing. It's a very good car, very solid feeling car, handles well, lots of different drive modes so you can kind of configure it to where you want. Roomy inside. It seems to be nothing but good. We'll have a full review of it next week, but that is Yo Vinnie. What are you driving this week? We'll have a review of what I was driving last week, the Toyota Prius, coming up in just a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, what do you say we take a quick break? When we come back, we have our CarTune, our Saturday morning CarTune, right here on Drivetime Radio.
冇鞋街中國，綠燈可以行。
No matter how you say it,
Cruce con la verde, en el medio pierde.
it always means the same thing.
Attraversate soltanto al segnale verde, mai nel mezzo della strada.
Cross at the green, not in between.
Geht darüber de Gas nur denn wenn's ist green, nicht ergens zwischen inmitten vom Block.
It means cross at the corner, never in the middle of the block. Don't walk until the light turns green. Always cross at corners where motorists expect you and where you can see them. Cross at the green, not in between. In any language, it's a way of life.
Don't cross the street in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle of the block. Don't cross the street in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle of the block. Use your eyes to look up, use your ears to hear. Walk up to the corner when the coast is clear. And wait until you see the light turn green. Don't cross the street in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle of the block. Don't cross the street in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, in the middle of the block.
Bringing good vibes to the Puget Sound and the world. Alternative Talk 1150.
I'll show you a place. Right back with you on Drivetime Radio Saturday morning. New York Vinnie, Nathan the producer, and you hanging out here talking cars. By the way, if you're not doing anything this morning and you're in the North Seattle, Snohomish County, or anywhere really around, they go till 10 o'clock, and I want to stop by and see my friends over at the Snohomish Cars and Coffee right there on 157th and Westminster. 155th in Westminster in the Town and Country Market parking lot in front of the Chinese restaurant. There's always a ton of really solid looking cars at that. You can take the kids there. It's a nice environment if you want to learn more about hot rodding or about classic cars and collecting cars. There's always people that are happy to talk to you about it, happy to tell you about their cars. It's why these people work on these cars, so that they can tell people about them and explain them to people. All right, our Saturday morning CarTune this morning. I've been wanting to play this for a while, and I just, for whatever reason, it's just gone in and out of my head. But I remembered this week, and I wrote it down, and now we do a little thing. We put like posters on, music posters on our social media. So I'm going to have one of my favorite actors come in here this morning and sing for you. Robert Mitchum has been is one of those tough guys of 50s Hollywood, along with Brando and Kirk Douglas and Burt Lancaster. And, it's just a genre of movie stars that were from that era that were, I think in many ways, kind of the last of the tough guys. They weren't quite as tough maybe as James Cagney, and didn't come out and play those particular gangster type of characters, but they had a different kind of toughness to them. And the movie Thunder Road, which was out in 1958, is really, if you go back and you look at the movie, kind of a history of the start of NASCAR. For those of you who don't know, NASCAR started down south with guys running moonshine back and forth. That's what had to make the cars fast, to outrun the revenuers. Well, there was a movie made about this back in 1958 called Thunder Road. It's a great movie with Robert Mitchum. His brother is in it, Gene Barry. I don't know if you remember him, Sandra Knight. And it's filmed in the mountains of Kentucky, North Carolina, and Tennessee back in the late 50s. And it really became a cult film because people saw in this film, if you were down south, probably your uncle, your cousin, somebody you knew was doing what Robert Mitchum, or Lucas Doolin is his name in the movie, was doing. Running hooch back and forth. So, and by the way, one of my favorite singers is in this movie, Keely Smith, who is just one of my all-time favorites. All right, so here is from the 1958 film Thunder Road, the ballad of Thunder Road.
Let me tell the story, I can tell it all, about the mountain boy who ran illegal alcohol. His daddy made the whiskey, son he drove the load. When his engine roared, they called the highway Thunder Road. Sometimes into Asheville, sometimes Memphis town. The revenuers chased him, but they couldn't run him down. Each time they thought they had him, his engine would explode. He'd go by like they were standing still on Thunder Road. And there was thunder, thunder over Thunder Road. Thunder was his engine and white lightning was his load. And there was moonshine, moonshine, quenched the devil's thirst. The law they swore they'd get him, but the devil got him first. On the 1st of April, 1954, the federal man sent word he'd better make his run no more. He said 200 agents were covering the state. Whichever road he tried to take, they'd get him sure as fate. Son, his daddy told him, make this run your last. Your tank is filled with 100 proof, you're all tuned up and gassed. Now don't take any chances. If you can't get through, I'd rather have you back again than all that Mountain Dew. And there was thunder, thunder over Thunder Road. Thunder was his engine and white lightning was his load. And there was moonshine, moonshine to quench the devil's thirst. The law they swore they'd get him, but the devil got him first. Roaring out of Harlan, revving up his mill, he shot the gap at Cumberland and screened by Maynardville. With G-Man on his taillight, roadblocks up ahead, the mountain boy took roads that even angels feared to tread. blazing right through Knoxville, out on Kingston Pike. Then right outside of Bearden, there they made the fatal strike. He left the road at 90, that's all there is to say. The devil got the moonshine and the mountain boy that day. And there was thunder, thunder, over Thunder Road. Thunder was his engine and white lightning was his load. And there was moonshine, moonshine, quenched the devil's thirst. The law they never got him, 'cause the devil got him first. Law they never got him, 'cause the devil got him first. Thunder, 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 toll.
There you go, Robert Mitchum in the Ballad of Thunder Road from the movie of the same name, Thunder Road, back in 1958. That's our Saturday morning cartoon, because cars and music go together so well that how could we not just mix them up and serve them up to you? If you have a suggestion for a cartoon, by all means, drop us a line, drop us an email, go to our Facebook page. And if you do go to our Facebook page, you will find a link to our Spotify Saturday morning, Drivetime Radio Saturday morning cartoons playlist. I've put together over the past couple of weeks almost every song that we have played on the Saturday morning cartoons since the beginning of the show. And so there's right now 3 hours and 45 minutes worth of car songs. I know that I probably have another hour at least that I've put on it. But if you have any suggestions, certainly always open to hearing them. There's a lot of songs that I've missed, a lot of songs that aren't. The ones that are on the list are just ones that we have played. There's a ton more that we haven't played, and I keep Nathan on his toes by looking for these things each week. So definitely something that you should be checking out. All right, that is our cartoon for the week. I did want to jump in and say something, a couple of things that I got to say before we get to the radio road test. Number one, the 2023 Chrysler 300C is going to be no more. They're only making this the last year. Manufacturers are phasing out their internal combustion engine cars, and I think the Chrysler 300 series doesn't get enough credit for what it is: America's last full-size sedan. And they've done it in a number of configurations, in a number of engines and horsepowers and so on and so forth. The car is long in the tooth. I'll tell you how long the car is. How old the car is. The first time I got to drive one, the Seahawks were practicing in Cheney, Washington, at Eastern Washington University. And I had one, and I drove it up. We used to be in a motorhome out there at Cairo. We're in this big motorhome. And I drove it up in front of the motorhome and parked it there. And after practice one day, I walked back over to the motorhome so I could file, my afternoon report back to Cairo. And Seneca Wallace is standing there. He walks over from practice, and he's looking at the car. Seneca Wallace, yes, that's Seneca Wallace, the backup quarterback of your Seattle Seahawks. How long ago? Again, it's like 1990, 99, 2000, something like that. Anyway, and matter of fact, he was so enamored of the car that he bought one because it had that look like it was a Bentley. It had that kind of Bentley look to it, but it was a really neat car. And again, the last huge Chrysler that we're going to see with an internal combustion engine. This last one, they've dropped a Hemi into it. It's a 485 horsepower farewell edition. As I said, they're going to make 2,000 for the United States and 200 for Canada. And that'll be it. And we'll say goodbye to the American full-size car, internal combustion engine car. And it's a shame because, again, this car had come out in a number of engine configurations, and all of them had the quickness, the sound. I mean, the sound of this car coming down the street was amazing. Whoever designed the exhaust notes on this car really knew what they were doing. And it was a bad butt looking car. It was a car that looked like that you were somebody if you were driving this car. Especially the edition. I drove them in a couple of different colors. The one I loved was the red with the black wheels. I'm not a big black wheels guy, but this car looked stellar. It just looked like it was ready to go. I think they are all sold out, if I'm not mistaken. I should have checked with my guy at Chrysler. But for a car that was built and designed when Mercedes-Benz still had a huge stake in Chrysler, it was a pretty amazing car. And as I said, the 6.4 liter Hemi in the 300C is it, and then it will say bye bye, and that's it, and that's all for the huge American car, and the end really of an era. Just it's all going to be electric, and they'll build cars that are as fast. I mean, you get into this Genesis, and the cars are the speed is unbelievable on these cars. The torque, the takeoff, it's just off the charts. As I said, you hit that boost button on the Genesis, and you feel like you're in Star Trek, where they hit that button and the spaceship just goes, boom. It feels that way. So goodbye, 300C. We always thought you were one of the underrated cars of our generation, of the last generation of cars. Also this week, General Motors rolled out the Blazer and the electric Escalade. I'm hoping to get rides in them pretty soon. The 2025 Escalade IQ features a 55-inch screen in it. The screen stretches all the way across the dashboard. So it's going to, it's one of those cars that are going to, people are going to talk about. People are going to say, but the Escalade, 2025 Cadillac Escalade, 55-inch screen, a bunch of neat features in this thing. And General Motors is really working to come up with a luxury vehicle, electric vehicle here that people are going to feel confident driving. They now have the Celestiq, the Escalade IQ. Motor Trend did a large, a big kind of 5 great features, and the 55-inch screen came in number 1. I mean, the screen just stretches all across the dashboard. 35-inch driver display, 20-inch display for the passenger. It's a massive multimedia portal. Whatever you got to do with this car, it'll come up on this screen. It is amazing when you look at it and you see the way it stretches across the cabin of the car. I don't know how people aren't going to be distracted by this. But, it'll be interesting. 24-inch wheels on it, a dual motor powertrain, and it has a frunk. The frunk is going to be frunky on the Escalade. You'll have a trunk where you can stuff stuff in, bags and stuff like that, because no motor up there. Built on the Ultium platform by GM. Looks like it's going to be a a solid vehicle, this Escalade. Lord only knows how much it's going to cost, but I don't see this thing, coming up for anywhere under $110,000, $120,000. Just not going to happen. Another vehicle that GM released some information on this week is the Blazer, the electric Blazer Police Edition. And there's a great video on YouTube, and we're going to get somebody from GM on to talk about these cars and which direction the company is going. But Ford owns the police business in this country. And Chevy is saying, well, wait a second. Why not us? So the Police Edition Blazer is out. And from what you could see, it looks pretty good. I have not looked at the results of New York City using they have some Teslas in their police car fleet. And I'm interested in seeing how those things have been working out, because I would think that a police car, with the constant idling and the constant use in the way you use a police car, might not be that well suited for an electric car in some sense. But because there's just so many things, listen, you have to be afraid you're going to, range, talk about range anxiety. You don't want to be able to be chasing somebody and you run out of electricity. That's not fair cricket. So that'll be interesting to see, but we will endeavor to get somebody on from GM to talk about the GM Blazer, and I'll put a link to the Blazers, the video that they released on the Blazer on our Facebook page, so you'll be able to look at it and say that see what you'll be chased by next year. In it's always good to see what you're going to be chased by. Now, what else did I have here? We got that. We got that. We have the expo that's coming up, and yes, there was one more thing that I had, and you know what? I lost it. See if somebody will come back to me in a second. My notes are. I write like a doctor sometimes. I scribble a lot, and sometimes my notes can be less than legible. That's the word I was looking for. By the way, there are a lot of pictures up about we reviewed the Santa Fe. What was it, last week, the week before? The Hyundai Santa Fe, and I've seen the 24 Hyundai Santa Fe, and I got to tell you, man, I love Hyundai and I love the Santa Fe, but I would not buy a 23 when the vehicle is coming out that this 24 is. It's just a spectacular looking vehicle. They have really done, the Hyundai designers have really gone to town on this thing and come up with a vehicle I think is going to very possibly change the face of SUVs in this country and around the world. One of the interesting things I saw in this is Hyundai always seems to come up with these little quirky things that make it unique. Hyundai has a compartment in the new Santa Fe that if you take your cell phone, your keys, whatever it is, and you stick it in this compartment, you close the door, it will sterilize them. It will ionize, like those sterilizers you buy for your phone. This thing has one in the dashboard, so you can take your phone, your key fob, Junior's lollipop, whatever you put in one of these things. Put it in there, close the door, hit the button, zim, zam, zoom, zing, zoom, like magic, pull it out, and it's germ-free. For the times that we live in, I think it's a great idea. We live in times where people are running around with hand sanitizer and masks and this and that and the other thing. This is, I think, a great idea, a great little marketing tool that will appeal to a large amount of people. And this is one of the things I think you'll see in cars, in more cars in the not too distant future. So kudos to Hyundai for putting something that I don't know. Did you expect there to be one of these? I mean, I figured maybe somebody would get one, put it in their car, and carry it. Plug it into the outlet or something like that. But I never thought I'd see one as like standard equipment. But a UVC sanitizer tray is in the Santa Fe, on top of the Santa Fe's passenger glove compartment. Your phone, your wallet, often handles items into the tray. It sterilizes them for you. What do they think? I always ask, what do they think of next? And then you find out. All right. That is some of the stuff that's going on in the automotive world. I think we'll tell you about the Drivetime radio road test.
The Drivetime Radio Road Test. Every week, Vinnie puts another car through its paces and lets you know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, I'm a pace put kind of guy. I love to put cars through their paces. It's what I live for. And I'm going to tell you right here and right now that when I put this up on YouTube, and we talked about it last week, I put a question. It was kind of a rhetorical question. Is this the best Prius ever? But boy, has Toyota scored with this Prius. It gives you everything that any of the previous Priuses did not give you. Number one is style. This is a beautiful car. I mean, I don't know what possessed Toyota to go from the kind of utilitarian look that the previous Prius had to this particular style. But man, oh man, is it appealing. It's just a sharp-looking car. I drove this thing over to Idaho last week and back. And, I have people in Idaho stopping me and asking me, what is that? What kind of car is that? And it's the Prius. If you're on social media, you can see the design of this car, the lines of this car, the usefulness that this car brings to the table. Listen, this was the first hybrid. I don't know if it's the first hybrid. It was the first popular hybrid. I think actually Honda had the first hybrid. But this particular car is the extension of all of that came out in 2001. And they finally said to themselves, people that are buying a hybrid car want a fancier car, want something that looks a little cooler. And that's exactly what they did with the Prius. The wedgie kind of styling that it has really, it not only serves the purpose of being appealing to the eye, but it also aerodynamically serves a purpose too, in that it cuts through wind resistance and gives the Prius a better chance at that 50 plus gallons a mile number that you're looking for. It really, this is a vehicle that has been well thought out, aside from being appealing on the outside, on the inside. It's roomy. It has as much room in it as a small SUV. Twice as better on gas mileage. It has the hybrid setup from Toyota, which has been the most successful in the business. I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind that their hybrid setup that they've been using for years now, and have a vehicle just about in every category as a hybrid, is the best. Now, I got to drive the XLE all-wheel drive hatchback. This car has a sticker price of $32,295. you can buy them for $37 pretty well loaded. It is, as I said, I keep going back to the design because it's really a beautiful, beautiful car. The design of the car is unbelievable. They get a larger engine, 2.0 liter. The hybrid system that they have in here is basically the same hybrid system that they've used all along, but it has better output and better efficiency. It is automatic only, obviously. And, that new engine and the not only gives you a more powerful
1
190
minute.
horsepower, but it also gets you from 0 to 60 in a little under 7 seconds and for 57 miles per gallon. You get a range of about 644 miles on the high end, depending on the configuration. It is, with all the safety stuff, the original is maybe the best, but the Toyota Prius is a car that if you are in the market for that hybrid, if you want to ease into electrics, this is the car you should be looking at, except if you can find a Prius Prime that's a plug-in hybrid. That one is probably a tad better than this one. All right, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Drive Time Radio. Thank you to everybody who helped put this show together, and we will catch up with you next week at the same time, 8 o'clock in the morning, if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Have a good one, folks.
The views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests.
Okay, all clear.
All right, and we are all clear from our network, but we'll just stick with you for a second here on the extended play edition. I just wanted to go a little bit more into this thing because I mentioned it slightly at the end of Prius Prime, which is the plug-in hybrid. I really think that that's if you can find one, that's the vehicle, because that's going to get you most into the routine of having an electric car. It gives you, it's got 220 horsepower. You plug it in for the electric, and you get 37 miles on solely electric driving. It's really, I think, an excellent vehicle and an excellent way to take that plunge into the hybrid electric vehicle area. Something that maybe you didn't want to, might have said, hybrids, they're ugly, they're this, they're that. You look at this car, it's not ugly. It's so visually appealing. And it is so good on gas, so good on electricity, great range. Again, there's no negatives in this car that I could find. The safety equipment in this thing too, the active driver assistant features, Toyota Safety Sense system that they have in these, give you a full suite of pedestrian detection, lane departure avoidance, adaptive cruise control, lane following assistance, road sign assist, and automatic high beams. The proactive driving assist is in the upper end models of this thing, and it really monitors the distance between other vehicles, pedestrians, and cyclists. It's really probably one of the safest cars that you can drive out there. It has all sorts of collision detection and avoidance equipment in that Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 suite of different things. And let's face it, that's something that we're looking at these days. I want a car that can help me drive a little bit. Not all the time, but I'm not a big self-driving car guy, but I think that these assist, especially as you get older, if you're 25 years old, maybe you're not thinking about this so much. But when you get to be 65, a little help doesn't hurt. And it's nothing to be embarrassed about. If you plug into these things, or forget 65, you're a mom, you've got 6 kids in the car, 5 kids in the car, and you're driving to soccer practice and the kids are screaming, Mommy, Mommy, I want ice cream. Daddy, Daddy, take me to the amusement park. You can lose your mind. And these driver assist things help you to be safer. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a good thing. The safer we can be on the road out there, the more defensive we can drive, the better it is. The more we can come up with things that will keep our attention on the road or help us if our attention wanders. And let's face it, people, it's a jungle out there. Everybody that's driving around is driving around looking at their phone, looking at their screen, looking at 9 million things except what's going on in front of them. So if this safety stuff saves a few lives a year, God bless it. I think it's a good, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, heck, we now have a car that sterilizes our phones. Maybe we can have a car that saves people's lives as well. Just saying. All right, listen. Oh, by the way, we never talked about it. The Nude car show is today. I started to think about having those folks on, but really, what are they going to tell us? There's people standing next to their cars with no clothes on. I can't show you pictures on the radio. I guess I can show you pictures on social media, but I'd probably take a hit from Facebook for doing it. So just suffice it to say that if you're in Wisconsin today, Google the Nude car show and go by and say hello. You'll see something that you've probably never seen before. One of these weeks, I'll have to make it out there. One of these years, I'll have to make it out there. All right, that's going to pack it in for today. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We always appreciate it. I will put the links up to stuff on our Facebook page. And don't forget to participate in that WASDOT survey and idea gathering on the rest areas. I think it's important that people that use these things have input as to what they want to see in a highway rest area and what they don't want to see in a highway rest area. For me, it's charging stations, it's air, and it's clean restrooms and vending machines. You give me that, I'm a happy camper. You want to build a restaurant on them and, sit down and serve me coffee or whatever, nothing wrong with that. Why don't the Starbucks take these things over? I mean, they could do something like this, bing, bang, boom. I don't know. Seems like a simple idea to me. All right, that'll put it in the books for today. We thank you so much for listening to our show. We will catch up with you, as I said, next weekend, next Saturday at 8 o'clock in the morning. Actually, a little bit before on social media. So if you're around, be around. And we'll meet you on the corner. Drive our cars into the sunset. Or the sunrise at that time of day. Thanks so much for listening. We always appreciate it. And we'll see you next week if the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Have a good one.